Hi, I'm Randy Harry, and I'm one of the pastors privileged to serve here at Providence United Methodist Church. It's been a few weeks now since General Conference, and we've gone through a lot of emotions here at our church and across our denomination. I just want to check in with you and let you know that the leadership of our church has been meeting and trying to figure out how best to respond to the developments of General Conference as we look forward here in our local church. And we've settled on two core values that we think are most important for us as a church family. One of those is unity. If we look to the scriptures, we hear Jesus describe the importance of unity in his prayer in John chapter 17, as he prays for the disciples of his day as well as the disciples in the future, which includes, of course, you and me. He speaks of how important it is to be one with the Father and one with him. The Apostle Paul speaks of unity as well in his first letter to the Corinthian church. He encourages the church to stay together in chapters 12 through 14. He encourages unity and grounds all of that in love. And then in the letter to the Ephesians, Paul again speaks very much of unity, where he describes one body and one spirit, one Lord, one faith, one baptism. The emphasis, of course, is on one. We're to hold together as one. But unity does not mean that we are all the same, that we all think the same, that we agree on everything. There is diversity in unity. I mean, one of the great things about God's creation is its diversity. The people God has created are diverse. The world around us, the beauty of creation this time of year as the flowers are blooming, we see a great diversity in all of God's beautiful creation. And so we'd like to see more of that diversity in our congregation, and we're called to be inclusive in that regard. So the second core value is inclusiveness. We've done a great job over the years here at Providence United Methodist Church in welcoming folks here. But the truth is we're not as inclusive as we could be. And so in light of General Conference, we want to be more intentional in being inclusive, including and especially to our LGBTQ community. All persons need to feel welcomed here. All persons need to feel embraced in this congregation, and we're going to do everything we can to make that happen. We also want to include greater inclusivity toward other persons as well. African Americans, Latina brothers and sisters, our immigrant community here in the Charlotte region. All persons should feel welcomed and embraced here at Providence United Methodist Church. Some years back, Bishop Robert Schnase wrote a book entitled 5 Practices of Fruitful Congregations. And one of his chapters is entitled Radical Hospitality. He talks about hospitality being more than just passively receiving visitors and indeed welcoming them. We do that very well here, but he encourages churches to go to radical hospitality, which is having a restlessness for drawing people into their church. And I think that's something to which we can aspire. Bishop Schnase asks a very interesting and probing question in his book. He says, what do people need from the church? This is what he writes. People need to know God loves them, that they are of supreme value, and that their life has significance. People need to know that they are not alone, that when they face life's difficulties, they are surrounded by a community of grace, and that they do not have to figure out entirely for themselves how to cope with family tensions, self-doubts, periods of despair, economic reversal, and the temptations that hurt themselves or others. People need to know the peace that runs deeper than an absence of conflict, the hope that sustains them even through the most painful periods of grief, the sense of belonging that blesses them and stretches them and lifts them out of their own preoccupations. People need to learn how to offer and accept forgiveness and how to serve and be served. As a school for love, the church becomes a congregation where people learn from one another how to love. People need to know that life is not having something to live on, but something to live for. That life comes not from taking for oneself, but by giving of oneself. People need a sustaining sense of purpose. Well, my hope is that out of General Conference, we'll experience a revival of sorts, both in our local church and in our denomination, where we'll take more seriously the Great Commission of Jesus to make disciples of all peoples, my prayer is that we'll embrace that here at Providence United Methodist Church. And I hope you'll join me in that prayer.